Nah,
Join the line! Join the line!
The internet.
So you know the email that went out, one link works and one link does not again. And it looks like it's the click tracker that's messing up the link.
Okay, we're now live on YouTube.
Thank you, Sam. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the June meeting of the Board of Directors of the Oregon Country Fair. We are recording this meeting and it is being live streamed on YouTube. If you'd like to participate in member input opportunities throughout the meeting, the Zoom link is the way you can connect with us and be able to share at the meeting. If you'd like to use the chat function to speak with other folks in the membership or other viewers, please do that on YouTube. The chat in Zoom will only be for raising hands. Any use of the chat box here interrupts the facilitation of the meeting. Board officers and staff, please keep your cameras on. Everyone else, please have your cameras off until we ask you to share during member input. We are going to go until 9 o'clock tonight. Please, everyone, help us to stay on track, stay in a nice, efficient use of our time this evening so that we can all get our business done and be finished by 9 p.m. And please keep your microphones muted until I call on you to share. I'd like to start first with announcements. As we've been doing, please hold announcements about life transitions, births or deaths, or other celebratory life transitions until the end, and then we'll hold a moment for those as well, all at once. But if anyone has any announcements, I'd like some time for that now. if no one else has announcements, I have some announcements. The first is that the board met in closed session on May 10th to discuss the motion on the vaccine, changing the vaccine policy. And we met on the May 27th to discuss personnel matters. At neither of those meetings were any decisions made. We also had a special meeting on the vaccine policy on May 20th that was well attended. And we had a presidential listening session on May 16th. And I think about 14 people came through that meeting to share with us. As usual, we've had a nice time. I'd like to also give a moment right now at the coordinator meetings have been really full of fantastic information. As is the tradition, we give coordinators of many different crews the opportunity to share announcements that they'd like other coordinators to disseminate out to crew members. If there are any coordinators present right now who have an announcement they wish that the membership knew before coming on site, like for example, I know that the recycling crew wants us to unpack all of our new products at home so we can throw out or recycle the packaging at home, and we don't make that, we don't bring that to site and expect recycling crew to manage those things. I bet recycling crew wished we all knew that. If there's another crew that has a brief announcement like that you wish the whole membership knew, I'd like to give you just a few minutes tonight for coordinators to make those announcements. Stephen Berkson. You are muted.
I just want to remind everyone that everyone should be bringing their fire extinguishers, fire extinguisher for each site, each cluster of tents, to leave them out where they can be seen. Fire extinguisher that nobody knows where it is of no value whatsoever, and that it's been 3 years. So if it's the one you've been bringing to the fair for a long time, you better go get it recertified and make sure it works. And any of the extinguisher stores should work. We know of National Firefighter for sure. And lastly, to keep in mind that pre-fair, there's a limited number of fire pits allowed until fair gets going. So they should be available in main camp as main camp gets going and there's more and more people on site. Where there are fire pits allowed should be posted there, and so everybody gets together and shares. Thanks.
Lucy?
Thanks. I just want to make an announcement that requesting that when coordinators come to their appointments in the inventory yurt, we are requesting that people wear a mask. If you don't have one with you, we will provide you with one. We got a bunch from the fair stash, and we're making that request because we're working in an enclosed space. So just putting that expectation and request out there. Thank you.
Any more announcements? Okay. That brings us to approval of the minutes from the May regular meeting. Do I have anyone on the board who would like to move to approve the minutes for May's meeting?
So moved.
Sam, do we have a second?
Second.
Sandra? Any board discussion on the minutes for May's meeting? Lisa?
Yes, on page 12 of the minutes for May's meeting, AJ said that I voted against his previous motion last month and that I argued vigorously against AJ's motion. And I just want to point out that that motion was withdrawn, so there was no board vote. So I couldn't have voted against it. And also because it was withdrawn, there was no board discussion. So I couldn't have argued against it. So I just want to get that out there and get that on the record. Thanks.
Any further board discussion? Seeing none, let's do this by unanimous consent. AG, we've already moved into voting. Would you block a unanimous consent to approve the minutes?
I want to apologize. I am not feeling well tonight, and I was trying to click in hand in the chat, and
Okay.
it took me a second to get it in there.
Okay,
So I just wanted to acknowledge that I stand by what I said in the last board meeting, and I'll leave it at that.
okay, so I'm going to ask for unanimous consent to approve the minutes from the May board meeting. If I'd like to see a show of hands for people who do provide unanimous consent, and write no in the chat if you do not provide unanimous consent. So hands for yes. And if we don't have unanimous consent, we'll just go to a board vote.
I'm a yes, by the way. I'm not showing my screen tonight.
Thanks. Okay, seeing no no's, we have Sue abstaining. Therefore, the motion to approve May's minutes does pass by unanimous consent with Sue abstaining. Okay, Lisa says no. So I suppose I need to give more time for things to get in under the wire. So we'll just go to a voice vote. AJ already gave a voice vote yes. I vote yes. Sam, how do you vote?
Yes.
Spirit?
Yes.
George?
No.
John?
No.
Lisa?
No.
Sue, do you still want to abstain now that we're voting in this manner?
I will change my vote to no. Thank you.
Paxton?
Yes.
Sandra?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion to pass fails with George, John, Lisa, and Sue voting no. Go ahead, Sam.
I'd like to propose an adjustment to the minutes that might allow them to pass. Is now an appropriate time to do that?
Sure, I was gonna say, given that we had no amendments proposed, go ahead.
It seems to me that the minutes accurately reflect what AJ said, and that Lisa has raised concerns about factual inaccuracies in what AJ said, and AJ has said that he stands by what he said. If the minutes were adjusted to reflect that AJ said what he said and stands by it, and also include perhaps a footnote with Lisa's clarification, would that be to meet with people's satisfactions? I don't know if it's a footnote or if it's it's an inline note, or if it's a note at the beginning or the end, an end note perhaps. I'm not sure exactly where that would go, but a clarification that that Lisa disagrees sort of with the facts of what was stated.
Lisa?
I would approve an inline clarification. So something embedded in that comment.
Like bracketed or otherwise formatted such that it was clear that this wasn't, that AJ said what he said and stands by it, and you take issue with the facts of what he said.
Is there any further board discussion? Seeing none, let us go to a vote on the minutes with the amendment of a bracketed statement. We'll go backwards.
Who made the amendment and who accepted it?
Okay, so Sam is the maker of the motion to approve the minutes, and Sandra is the second. It could be that Sam is making not a friendly amendment, but an amendment, a specific amendment, and Lisa is seconding that, which is what was just spoken to. Sam, do you want to clarify what you're?
Yeah, I was sort of asking about whether or not that would be acceptable. I haven't really like officially moved to amend. So let me throw it out there as a friendly amendment. Sandra, would you accept that as a friendly amendment? A bracketed clarification?
I would.
Okay.
Okay, is there any further discussion, or can we go to a vote?
So we're not going to, excuse me, we're not seeing exactly what's going to be in there. Does Lisa get to, what, Kimmo adds something to the minutes? Does Lisa and AJ get to look at that and say, yes, that's what I intended, or not? I'm unclear, and maybe we should just have Kimmo amend the minutes and resubmit them for next meeting.
Lisa?
I think it should be as I stated it. It's what I said.
Kimmo, I see your hand.
Thank you. Yes, so based on what you all have said, my intention would be, of course, to put it in tonight's meeting minutes. And then what Lisa clarified would be inserted into an update into the meeting minutes. And then it's been settled in both minutes as far as I'm concerned.
AJ?
After reviewing the meeting from last March or May, that was, I will acknowledge that there was no public vote taken on that motion, but I stand by everything else that I said with that. But I do acknowledge that there was no public meeting vote on that. There was no vote publicly done on that. Don't know if that helps anybody, but I would really like my words to stand as they are, minus that. I will acknowledge that there was no public vote on it. But I don't like the term clarifying what I said, because that's Lisa's interpretation of that. I would rather, this is her opinion, just like I shared my opinion. She can share her opinion about it, but clarifying is not the term I would like to be used.
Okay, so Kirsten?
Thank you. Based on what I'm reading in that paragraph, a change of one word would probably get it done. It's in the first sentence. It says AJ expressed frustration beyond belief, saying Lisa P, instead of saying the word voted, used the word was against his previous motion last month, and now ... So you could change one word and that would clarify. I put that forth as a suggestion. Thank you.
Lisa?
I would not support that. AJ has made it very clear that he wants his words to stand.
Okay, so what I heard from
That's not, oh, sorry, I'm trying to get my hand up before you go on, but yeah, that's not exactly true. I just said that I want to acknowledge that there was no vote. So I am willing to accept that change because I want to acknowledge that there was no vote taken in a public meeting. Everything else, I would like to remain the same.
So I haven't heard a friendly amendment to change the one word from voted to was. But what I did hear was Kimmo made a proposal that she would create that addendum with Lisa's words. And this conversation would be in tonight's minutes. Paxton?
I really think it ought to go back to the secretary to work it out between AJ and Lisa to get wording that's acceptable to both of them, and then bring it back at the next meeting.
Okay. Sam and Sandra, as the makers of the motion, are you willing to table until the July meeting?
Yes.
And since Sandra's willing as well, we don't need a motion to table. So we'll move on to the minutes from the special meeting, which was held on May 20th, which had a single agenda item, which was modifying the Oregon Country Fair's vaccine policy. Do we have a board member who will make the motion to approve the minutes from the special meeting of May 20th?
I so move.
Paxton, do we have a second?
Second.
AJ, do we have any board discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'd like to offer that I think the meeting went really well. I thought everyone present was able to share their opinions on this really difficult subject in a very respectful manner. And Kimmo, thank you for the great job you did getting these minutes together for us. Thank you. John?
I wasn't going to say anything, but since you have offered an opinion, I found it very disconcerting, the extreme limits on discussion on the board. There was no time for any deliberation, and I do not think we should ever run a meeting like that ever again. I think it was disrespectful of process, and I'm just amazed that people went along with it who would have pilloried me in previous times on the board for doing anything remotely similar to that.
Any further board discussion? Okay, let's do the minutes for this one by unanimous consent. Raise your hand if you're willing to approve the minutes, which is just the record of what happened, not our opinions on how it happened, or put a no in the chat box if you do not offer your consent and the unanimous consent. Seeing no no's, this motion passes by unanimous consent. So now let's get to the agenda review for the evening. We have only three motions on as old business. I would like to withdraw to table the data policy. Stephen Dyerkoff, our new membership secretary, is working really hard on that. It has just become certainly a bigger project than I anticipated. He's working to get like broad support, and I think from my position, it looks like it's turning into a bigger project than he thought it was. And I think it appropriate that we leave that and we leave his work until after the fair. So I'm going to table that till after the fair. And then AJ, do you have an agenda adjustment?
Yes, I have two motions. The first motion will
For new
come
business?
in. The first motion is going to be in the, I'm hoping to present in the budget report.
Okay,
Committee
that's already
report.
on the agenda.
Yeah, and then the second would be a new business.
Okay, and so we'll do that at the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
Any other adjustments or amendments to the agenda as set out tonight? Okay. Membership comments. That brings us to this section of the meeting. We will continue using the chat for raising hands and not for discussion. Please turn your mics and or videos, if you'd like, on when I call on you tonight. The member input section now is for anything that's not on tonight's agenda. So not on the 2 old business motions we'll see, or on the treasurer's report or staff report, or committee and work group reports. Please understand that we're limited in time tonight. I think the best way of going about it is no longer asking for people to limit an X amount of time to member input and then leave a certain amount of time for a future agenda, a future moment of member input. Everyone will have 2 minutes. Sam and I will work at keeping track of that 2 minutes, and you can use it however you like. If you'd like all 2 minutes now, saving nothing for a future agenda item, that's your call. Sam's going to be keeping track of time. And then Steve Wisnowski, you're up first.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
We're going to be living in extraordinary times this coming fair. We just had the wettest April on record in Western Oregon, and the 4th wettest May on record in Western Oregon. And from what I understand, I haven't been on site. I'll be down there this Saturday. There is a lot of standing water in Miss Piggy's and a lot of standing water in Trotters, and I think operations is going to be challenged to come up with creative ways to have our event on site. And I just hope that everybody can adjust to the realities and please tread lightly. That's it.
Martha?
I wasn't part of the vaccine policy meeting, and I doubt that this was discussed, but boy, am I happy to have my COVID wristband. And I thought all of that went just as smoothly as can be on Saturday. The greeters were terrific. I had my vaccine card. I now have my wristband, so it'll be even easier the next time I'm out there. So cool idea, well executed. Thank you.
Thanks. Arna?
I'm still trying to find out what's happening with that investigation that the board authorized back in February, which I still haven't heard anything about. Paxton said that had been answered in a board meeting, but I've been to all the board meetings and I haven't really heard that answered. So forgive me if it was, but I really don't believe it was. So that's what I'm looking for. Is an explanation of what's going on with that, or an answer to what's going on to that. Thanks.
Kimmel?
I just wanted to share something personal, and I'll be going to the fair this year, and I've only been to the fair site once since 2019. I love the fair. I love the property. I love it when nobody's there. But when I see you folks, I'm going to be probably really sentimental. And so I'm going to ask that we not talk about negative things. I don't want to hear gossip. I don't want to hear the bad shit. I want to be loved, and I want to give love. So I'm asking all of you, when you see me, to stay positive, share what you've been doing to be creative and be inspired during the pandemic. And let's do that for ourselves and for everyone, so that we can rise above this and move on and move forward. There's still a lot of COVID concerns, and you know, some people would really appreciate it if we would wear our masks all the time. I think we need to communicate, do a better job of communicating and you know, setting expectations if you're going into a meeting or a training, if you're expected to wear a mask or not. But I look forward to seeing all of you. Thank you.
Sue?
As a member of several committees, I want to take a moment to thank Mary Callahan for all her support. I noticed it on all the committees that I deal with. Her support was invaluable. I will miss her. Thank you.
Paul?
Good evening. I would like to request that the board create a policy that the recordings of public committee meetings be made available publicly after the meeting, just as the recordings of the board meetings are. I think it's a good policy in general, using our modern technology to help people who can't attend committee meetings at their regular times to keep up on what's going on in the committees. I became acutely aware of the need for this policy when I attended last week's diversity committee meeting. I think the membership needs to be aware of the committee's plans with respect to their VIP passes, the passes that they are given to distribute to diverse communities to invite them to the fair and work towards their mission of increasing diversity. I was shocked to hear that this year they are intending to issue what they are calling an informed consent, warning of racial and sexual dangers at the fair, and bringing in matters of the conflicted political situation with the board. It's totally inappropriate. I think the membership who was upset about the December 6th presentation needs to know that the same committee that threatened a media campaign against the fair if they didn't get their way in personnel matters is now planning to issue a defamatory statement about the fair with the free passes that they are distributing. I think the membership needs to hear Mr. Silverman suggests that they shouldn't distribute those passes at all because of the political situation. And they need to understand that Mr. Rutledge, who is the board liaison and was facilitating the meeting, did not speak against these ideas. I really hope that the board is doing something to stop that statement and its potential damage. Please make the recordings of all public meetings available to the membership. Thank you.
Brad?
Hi, everybody. Bear with me. This is not easy for me to say. I've been watching from my position and working behind the scenes as a backup manager now for months and months, and watching how divided our community is, and feeling the echoes of our society in our fair and in our community, and it really hurts. I was told earlier by previous leaders to maintain my silence as a bum and work to change things from behind the scenes. And I have done so, and have been doing that for 12 years. On May 15th, when my partner, Mary Callahan, got fired, it was kind of the final straw for me. She got fired while she had COVID. I got COVID subsequently and was down for a week and a half or so, and struggled with my own personal health. And now I've been struggling with my emotional health since. I'm having a super hard time re-engaging with my family and my community. And I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm depressed. I'm having an identity crisis because it's been who I've been for a long time. And I'm hurt in the way our community has been treating each other. And I don't know what to do except step back, because it's really all I can control. I'm not trying to make any grandiose statement. I want people to have their fair and do what they can. I believe in us. I believe in our community. I believe in our mission. I believe in our values, but I don't believe in what we're becoming. Thank you.
I think it's important to give a reminder here that our practice is to not discuss personnel matters in public meetings. Thank you, Brad, for sharing your truth. But going forward tonight, let's have no more personnel matters in public meetings. Thank you. Next, I have Spirit.
Hey, I'm going to follow that with a more positive message, but thank you, B-Rad, for your time that you've served the fair. And I hope that things get better for everyone. So I should have said this in probably announcements, and I apologize. But I want to say that as I've been out at pre-fair, I have felt uplifted just seeing our fair family come together And I wanted to give just a huge shout out to the pre-fair crews that are literally kicking ass. Site crew, Vegemanics, camping, kitchen crew is nailing it, childcare, archaeology, recycling, all of it. So I just want to, and I know I'm missing some of you. So I just want to say thank you very much to all that are doing what you're doing in the rain. Thank you so much.
Anne?
I would, first of all, I want to address what Kimmo said, and I know that I sometimes are standing apart from people alone, and it's because of COVID, and it has nothing, I think it was Kimmo, I apologize if I didn't get it right. And I'm standing apart just because of COVID, and it has nothing to do with any of you. My real reason for saying something is I want to say thanks for everybody who participated in the virtual fairs, because it did help us maintain some sense of community. And I think that that was really important. It may not have been what we wanted, but it's what we got, and it did keep people connected. Lastly, I want to address what Hall said. It's very disruptive at a diversity meeting when people are arguing that they do not want to be called guests. So thank you very much, and see you all at main camp. Bye.
John?
Two things. First, I will be wearing a mask at the fair site. I ask that if anybody wants to talk with me, that they have a mask with themselves and they put the mask on before they engage me in conversation. I will not talk with anybody who's not wearing a mask. And second, in reference to what Hall said, there was discussion about what should be on at the diversity committee meeting, what should be on the information sheet that's given to people. There was no decision made at the meeting. People expressed their opinions, and I believe that there's adequate review to ensure that the proper messaging goes out. And I think there's it's an excellent example of why recordings should not be shared, because people will take things out of context and post them on Facebook, as they have done in the past. And members of the committee have felt very harmed by that happening to them in the past.
I skipped Crystalline. Crystalline, sorry about that. Are you still with us? Sorry, I skipped you.
Yeah, just 1 second. Thank you. Hi, everybody. I just want to piggyback on what a couple other people said and publicly thank Mary. She helped us get through the 50th, was instrumental in getting PPPs, helped astronomical amounts with both the virtuals, and it was quite an honor to get to work with her.
Okay, next I have AJ.
Yeah, I'll be quick. I just want to give a big thanks to the kitchen crew that's feeding people already. I had one of the best meals ever. Had some meatloaf and shepherd's pie. It was unbelievable. You guys rock. So thank you for all the work that you're doing in the rain and mud and puddles and all that stuff. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Stephen Berkson?
Hi, so I just want to address what Hall said by saying that there's an issue with who decides what information is available to members, and any meeting that is open to the membership to attend and is also recorded should be available to all the membership to see. because you have meetings sometimes when some people can't come, and the best way to move that work forward and for people to be aware is to be able to watch that video. As far as these accusations like recordings are you pulled out of context and posted on the webs on Facebook or something, that's an accusation we've heard a number of times without any example or without any kind of argument of whether or not it was in fact out of context. And the best defense to that is for all the context to be available. So Hall said something about what she thought occurred during that meeting. I understand that, but her claim, her request is that everybody be able to watch it and decide for themselves. And we should all agree with that. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no further member input, that brings us to our staff report.
Good evening. Thank you, Lily. As you all know, opening of Main Camp happened last weekend. It was wonderful. It was wet, but very productive. I have applied for the grant that I told you about last month. We are getting some traction. I should know in the next couple of weeks if we get that grant. Norma Sachs has rejoined us to handle bookkeeping for the 2022 fair. Ticket sales are pacing at 15% ahead of revenue compared to May of 2019, May 31 of 2019. I'm going to give you some actual numbers here. Give me just a second to open the app. We did launch a media campaign on May 25th to push ticket sales through the end of the event. I'm only going to give you actual ticket sales, not parking or anything like that. Okay, the app's taking a bit of a time. Come on, any second. So at 10,000 tickets per day, we've sold 42% of Friday. We have sold 47% of Saturday, and we sold 25% of Sunday. The guidelines are on the .net site. They will be back from the printers by the end of this week. We will do a simple supplemental insert for any changes that need to be made and expect that to come out crunch week. VIP passes will be mailed to our business partners and important contacts by the end of this week. The Office network is installed and we can utilize it for backing up employees' computers and documents, and then it will back up to the cloud. We completed updating the check signers at Oregon Community Credit Union and Northwest Community Credit Union. That leaves Beneficial State Bank and Providence Bank and Trust, which we will accomplish after the fair. All inventory has been received. The COVID wristbands have been received, public wristbands for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the event wristbands, the Dragon passes, the VIP passes, the food vouchers, the Peach passes, the worker day passes, and vehicle stickers are all in-house. Volunteer recruitment is going strong thanks to Alexis Maddock. Over 200 people have applied to be volunteers this year. Coordinators can interact directly with this spreadsheet for recruitment. We've placed around 100 volunteers already. 75% of those were internal crew movement and 25% were brand new volunteers. We're going to have a public-facing volunteer recruitment booth tentatively located in the information booth. As for the site, the vaccine verification is being conducted in Doug's Green starting this weekend. We didn't do it this past weekend because it was too wet. You will enter on Arrow, turn into Doug's Green. You will exit Doug's Green onto Subtle, then back down Arrow for your pre-fair parking pass. The grapevines were pulled in preparation for the compost facility at the vineyard. Water tests were conducted on all wells. The Ware Barn is the only well that isn't potable. There is a spigot on the Ware Barn that is potable, so please look for that. Equipment, gators, and golf carts have arrived. More will be coming closer to the event. We are still not sure that we'll have the full inventory that we need. Motor Pool worked very diligently this weekend to identify scenarios on how to handle if we don't have all the gators that we need. And lots of work crews were on site this weekend, even though it was wet and muddy. They were getting a lot done. I want to thank the many volunteers that participate, but this month I'd like to thank the craft committee, who are Diane McWhorter, Sue Theolis, James Nason, Ken Kirby, Vince La Rochelle, Lucy Kingsley, Kim Allen, Jim Sarr, Adam Budd, Katie Parker, and Justin Honey. They've put a lot of effort into making sure that we get the crafters taken care of, that we have plenty of return crafters and finding them homes in booths this year. Considering we have a lot of red tags, there's a lot of work going into the booths, both food and crafts. Meetings, I've attended several coordinator meetings. We had one on May 4th via Zoom and an in-person one on May 29th. All have been very well attended. Dr. Ann Cooley is conducting a coordinator Q&A meeting on Monday, June 13th from 6 to 8 p.m. The Zoom link has been mailed to the email to the coordinators. Again, that's Monday, June 13th, 6 to 8. That's 1 week from tonight. The next coordinator meeting is scheduled for Sunday, July 3rd from 4 p.m. after the EMS protocol training at Traffic Camp. There is a tentative, if needed, coordinator meeting scheduled for Wednesday, July 6th at Main Camp at 10 p.m. I've met with Tickets West, Fair Care, Whitebird regarding Little Wing, Whitebird Executive Coordinator. I met with their Executive Coordinator regarding their event. I met with Orchid Health in Veneta regarding 24-hour PCR testing. They will offer PCR testing on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday by appointment only. They do accept insurance. The cost is $70 without insurance, and the turnaround time is 45 minutes. I've met with Fixed Assets, Community Village, BUM meetings, the food voucher team, inventory crew, media crew, and site office crew. Contracts and permits, we have completed the LTD. We have submitted the campground permits and are revising them. We are waiting for approval on our ODOT permit. I received approval on the right-of-way permit today. Our storage contract at Andy Strickland's property is signed. We are renting spaces 29 through 40 in the Never Barn. The Art Barn contract is signed. The OCF Veneta banner is submitted and approved and goes up on June 24th through July 11th. At Luther Lane, or also known as the Lane Electric Cooperative. I will be speaking at the Veneta Chamber of Commerce luncheon this Wednesday, June 8th. Thank you for your time.
Let me just say, Kirsten, that sounds like you've done a ton. Thank you to you and to the rest of the staff for the huge lift of bringing us back to our land after 3 years. Hillary and Linda, would you please give us a treasurer's report?
Hi, I'm going to go first today. So coordinators, be mindful of your expenses. As usual, you've been very good stewards. So please just keep that up as you go through your purchasing. If you do run into any budget shortages, hopefully that won't happen, but if there, we never know. Things are weird this year for sure. But if you do run over or have any issues with your budget, please contact your staff liaison and work with them on that. You can start submitting your expenses. If you have not, feel free to start submitting those already. Now, as you probably know, Norma is the contact person for that, and she's ready and raring to go to help you out with that. And I think that's about it. Thanks everybody. Just to, thank you so much for your efforts. It's a lot of work for all the coordinators right now, and definitely really appreciate you and all that you're doing for the fair.
Thanks, Linda. Hillary?
Yeah, what Linda said, and big thanks to everybody. And if any coordinators, have a question, the budget committee .org or the budget committee at OregonCountryFair.org email still works and goes to the whole budget committee. Linda and I are both on the contact sheet if you want to shoot us an email for a question. But at this point, a lot of what's happening with the spending, the staff is your best resource. The staff is in charge of, they're working on operations and they've got their pulse on, finger on a lot of what's going on. So thanks a lot. And then I think we have AJ with a budget adjustment.
Yep. Well, before we move on to AJ, I should have mentioned Norma's contact information for submitting expenses is norma@OregonCountryFair.org. O-R-G. Sorry, go ahead, but that's it.
AJ, do you have a budget adjustment for us?
I do. First, I want to say, as you can imagine, with the weather and not having a fair for a couple of years, we have a big lift ahead of us. And so it is with that understanding that I make the following motion. I move that we rescind the budget for fireworks this year and that the money saved remains a part of the volunteer appreciation budget.
Do we have a second on that motion?
I'll
Sue,
second it.
Sue, I see Sue.
I'll happily second.
I don't believe we normally do member input on budget adjustments. Hillary, is that correct?
We have sometimes, yeah.
Okay, member input? Is there any member input? Anne?
I just want to say I support AJ's amendment. I have very conflicting views on fireworks. There's the PTSD issue with our veterans, as well as it's part of in Chiapas, I know that it's part of the colonization of the conquistadors to help the people become Catholic, to see that their religion is going up in the air. And, we need to recognize colonization. Thank you.
Arna?
I just want to say I support AJ's motion. I think it's kind of ridiculous that we have fireworks out there. And we won't have the problem of really dry property like we often do. But the PTSD, what it does to the animals, I just think it's too much. And I think it's time to leave fireworks alone now. Thank you.
Grumpy?
Obviously, I oppose this motion. It would have been nice if we had known it was coming up, so all those other people, those thousands, and it is thousands, at least 1,000 people who come and watch the fireworks. And while I know there's the ecological arguments, we've never really seen any damage at the country fair because of the fireworks that have been done. I think it's a bad thing to change this policy. Again, when 1,000 or more of the fair family think that enjoy this. And it's something we should continue and have done for, well, either legally or illegally for over 30 years. And if we don't do it legally, you're going to see somebody, and it won't be me, doing it illegally at the fair. So we should continue to do this and not do this backwards way of stopping it. And what if the fair doesn't pay for it and private people do? How about that? Thank you.
Linda?
I'm speaking as a member at this point. There's a lot. I love fireworks, but this year is different. This year, less is more. Less is better. There's a lot of work to do. And there's a lot of work that we can't do yet because it's too wet. And I know that, putting on the fireworks, however you feel about it, it's a lot of work. And I think that for this year, I'm not getting on any bus to say to never do fireworks again. But I think that this is the year that we do not do fireworks, purely for the impact on the work impact. There's, yeah, that's it.
Heather?
So I would like to second everything that Linda's just said, and also say, wow, here we go again with another significant fair luminary threatening us with the rogue fireworks that they will do. Last time the person did this was Jack. Now it's Grumpy. That should not be okay in our family.
Hillary?
Yeah, this motion is not a policy change. It's saying to not use that line item this year for fireworks. And I agree with Linda. That's a bad idea. And I'm not sure what Heather's talking about with Jack. Jack's never purchased fireworks. You know, I don't remember what he said, but the people who did that one fireworks against the instructions, it was not Jack that initiated that, to my knowledge. And if somebody here wants to mention their involvement, they can, but I think it would be outrageous if anyone decided to do fireworks when it's not being authorized by the board, and I think it should have significant consequences if that were the case.
Heather, if we have time for a second round, we'll come back for clarification. I saw Snaz's hand up. Snaz? Okay, we'll go on to Martha.
I love the fireworks. I'm out there every time in the front row, but this year, one other reason not to do it is the 4th of July is Monday. It's not like we have that week in between. This is the closest we ever have the 4th to the event, and it seems like adding too much. So I support not doing fireworks this year. Sad as I'll be.
Snaz, I see you now. You're up. Do you need help unmuting?
Oh, no, I think I got it. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, hey. Yeah, so all that I would like to say is that I would like to refresh everybody's memory that the fireworks are traditionally a pre-fair thanks for everybody that are out there when it's wet or whatever and doing their thing. And it's all about saying thanks to the pre-fair folks. And I think I'm not alone in saying that everybody really likes the fireworks. We're really into it. So I guess, yeah, all I'm trying to say is a lot of people are really into it, and we would really like to do it.
Homer?
There we go. So I got a completely different hit than Heather. What I heard from Grumpy was, if it's a question of money, would it be possible for private people to come up with the money if the board approved it? Grumpy's been stalwart and backup manager and treasurer of the fair for decades, and I don't think you'd find him doing something that was not okay.
Seeing no one else, Heather, if you'd like a moment to clarify.
So Hillary and Palmer, I will find the board meeting for you. It was a board meeting where we were discussing fireworks. It was a pretty famous one, actually, where someone got up on a table because of extreme exasperation when Jack was talking about how, well, if we don't have approved fireworks, we're gonna have unapproved fireworks. And I just heard Grumpy say, well, if we don't have approved fireworks, somebody will probably be doing unapproved, more dangerous fireworks.
Grumpy? AJ, board members speak after during the board discussion.
I assume you know that it wasn't me who was talking at that board meeting. I was probably there. The last time that fireworks were not allowed, if you will, I left the fair site for the whole day or the whole night so that I would not be accused of doing the fireworks. So if anybody thinks that when the board didn't approve it, I was the one who was out there doing it, you should not think that, because it wouldn't be true. Um,
The same thing this year.
And I'm not going to leave this year, but obviously that year, some other people did do it. And I assume if it's done, it will be done legally with a permit, et cetera, et cetera. And I hear the board saying, frankly, they're not going to pay for it.
Okay, seeing no further member discussion, let's go to board discussion here. AJ, you got your hand in before the wire.
Yeah, so I want to clarify and then read the motion so everybody, again, so everybody can hear what it says. I want to clarify that I love fireworks. This is not about for me, I love fireworks. Actually, yeah, let me put that clear. Let me state the motion again so that it's clear for everyone. We moved that we resend the budget for fireworks this year and that the money saved remains a part of the volunteer appreciation budget. So that's the motion, and I really want to encourage folks to really listen to that and think about what that says. It doesn't say that we can't create come up with creative ways, other creative ways to appreciate our volunteers. The money is there for appreciation of our volunteers, and we can be a little bit more creative this year, and that's what the motion says, and not do fireworks this year, but that money is there for other ways to appreciate our volunteers. So thank you.
John?
A couple of points. First off, fireworks are not in the budget. What's in the budget is volunteer appreciation. What I would suggest is a slight change in wording to say that no OCF funds, no OCF funds budgeted this year will be used for fireworks. And then you can this year, because the fireworks is in the volunteer appreciation money has been used for fireworks, but there's nothing in the budget that says fireworks. So I don't know what there is to rescind other than to limit and say that no funds will be used for fireworks this year. But that doesn't address the larger question where will fireworks be allowed if private funds are used? And I don't know whether to address that, we need a board action, or whether that's a decision, an operational decision that can be made or has been made or would be made. So I guess that's a question that I have, is if this passes, will we allow private funds to be used for fireworks or not? And who, yeah. This year.
Sam?
Thanks. I'm sorry. I thought there were other hands ahead of mine.
Oh, there are. Sorry, John put his hand in twice. That actually puts Paxton next. Thanks, Sam. Paxton and then Sam.
I'm glad you read the motion again. I agree that it's not extremely clear to me either. I'd like to make a friendly amendment to change the word rescind to suspend the fireworks for this year. And as far as I'm concerned, I just leave the money where it is. It's in volunteer appreciation already. So I would just simplify it to suspend the fireworks show for this year. I personally I'm out here on site. The amount of work and out here to do is tremendous. And we just don't really have time for it this year. And I'm one of those that loves fireworks. I travel all over the world looking for them. And I respectfully disagree with Ann that it's an institution of the Christianity, because I know fireworks comes before the Christians. Thank you. So I actually would like a friendly amendment.
Thank you. So
change it to suspend.
And then, so AJ and Sue, as the makers and the second of that motion, do you accept the friendly amendment to change the word rescind to suspend?
Works for me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now the motion reads, move to suspend the fireworks. Can you say it again, AJ, with that word changed, just so we're all clear, and then we'll go to Sam?
Yes. Move that we suspend the budget for fireworks this year.
Just
And
suspend the fireworks.
Okay. So that's a different. So I guess I need clarity on what exactly the friendly amendment is. Because he's saying it's more than just a change of the one word.
Well, I don't think you need to include budget in that term right there. It just, the budget is there. It's going to be there afterwards. It's going to be there before. What we really want to do is put off a fireworks show from this year till the future. And so I just would be I'm simple, just suspend the fireworks show for this year. The money can stay in the volunteer appreciation budget. And could be used if the staff wanted to do that, in my opinion.
So if I got this right, it would go move that we suspend the fireworks show this year.
Well,
And the money,
given that this is the budget adjustment portion of the meeting,
yeah, that's why I think in order for it to remain where it is and then to go into effect, I need to keep it very close to what it is. So I'm willing to say to do the suspending for this year, but I'm not willing to disconnect it to the budget. I think it does have an effect on the budget. And I want to be clear that that budget remains intact for volunteer appreciation.
I have an alternate friendly amendment, if I may. And that is simply to say that for this year, no OCF funds will be used for fireworks. And we'd have to address the issue of private funds separately because it's not a budget issue.
I'm sorry, John, did you say that was a friendly amendment?
Yeah,
So then AJ and then Sue, do you accept that friendly amendment to just make the budget adjustment about spending money on fireworks?
I do.
I do, but I want to make sure that the reason for this motion was also to make sure that the funds, any money, to be clear that it remains in the volunteer appreciation budget. So if we can say that that's the motion and that's clear that those funds remain there, then I'm okay with it.
If the motion is my understanding that no funds may be spent on OCF budget, it doesn't touch that line item. That line item remains the same. That's the clearest motion that leaves the line item completely intact that we've spoken on tonight.
Okay, and how would that read again?
That no OCF funds will be used for fireworks this year. And that covers all line items in the budget, not just volunteer appreciation.
That works for me.
Okay, great. So Sue and AJ support that. So that friendly amendment goes forward, but that brings us back to our stack. And Sam, you're up.
Yeah. We are in the midst as an organization of like so many big culture shifts. And I think one of the really important ones there are two really important ones that I want to point out that this discussion brings to the top for me. One is the shift between an operational and a governance board. Because really the question of whether or not to have fireworks because of the operational issues that have been raised is an operational issue. The board is able to speak to this question because of the budget adjustment, and I don't dispute that, but I do think that we can we don't need actually, there's no budget being adjusted here. right? The line item in the budget remains the same. We're just saying we don't want it spent on fireworks. That decision could be made operationally. So I think just as a sort of, from my perspective, what we could take as a learning opportunity, that we don't need to do this. The second culture shift that I want to also point to that's maybe a little more amorphous is that we don't need to do things the same every single year. And I think that that's a huge part of our culture, right? The huge part of OCF culture is like people showing up and saying, I'm going to have a Cart to Frisco sandwich first thing. As soon as they open, I'm going to be the first one in line on Thursday when they open up. Well, I think that might be really hard for a lot of people for whom that's their tradition if they don't get to have a Cart to Frisco sandwich. And I think that this fireworks display this year, taking a year off of this, is going to be really hard for us. And hopefully we can take it as an exercise as a community in not having to do the same thing every year and finding something different, finding some new way to express our joy, to express our celebration, because that's really what we're good at as a community, is expressing joy and expressing celebration and expressing love for each other and the thing that we're doing. And so let's make this a joyful day.
You know what? We've got a mic open. Okay. Sam, if you weren't done, go ahead.
No, let's make this a joyful decision. Let's joyfully decide to do something else this year.
Okay. Spirit.
Yeah, I wanted to remind everyone that the fireworks show in general is really an all volunteer appreciation party that's been clarified in the past. And I feel conflicted about this because I'm not a fireworks fan, but I do come out and volunteer and do greeter during the fireworks show every year and would do so again if that was the case. However, I want to remind us that we are throwing an event in the middle, hopefully towards the end actually, of a pandemic. And I really don't want to be tempting fate here. The thousands that have generally come to the fireworks show, I feel concerned that right before the event that we would throw a very big party, and we're asking people to come and potentially secure the event that will be needing to work the event. And I know that we're all out there right now and hopefully trying to stay safe. But I just feel like we're really tempting fate here. That being said, I don't want to, I realized that earlier I forgot to say thank you to the JYDs who are also working pre-fair. I don't want this to be, I'm not going to support fireworks this year for the sake of us needing to put on an event. And, but I don't want this to be because we don't appreciate pre-fair work. I mean, it's essential. And I hope that we could put the money towards a really badass teddy bear picnic or something to that effect and really celebrate all that the volunteers are putting into this. And so I'm really sorry. And I also want to point out in 2017, in April of 2017, the NERTs went out and spoke to neighbors, and it's in the minutes, went out and spoke to neighbors, and the neighbors had said that it would be a major disruption to have fireworks on any other day but the 4th. And I know that this year it was planned to be on the 3rd. So that is another thing to consider here.
So Grumpy, we're in the board discussion portion of the evening. But Sandra has her hand up 3 times. So we're going to go to Sandra. You have to say 3 separate things, Sandra.
Well, no, my hand was down part of that time too.
Okay.
People kept saying what I had to say, and then, but still, I do have something to say. I mean, I do think it's part of our responsibility as a board to weigh in what can be quality and safety concerns. And I do kind of think this fits well under that heading, that, it is a heavy lift this year. We have so much to do, and, not focusing all our attention on having, the best fair we can have, I think, splits our efforts. And I think for that reason alone, this year, it's really important to just stay focused, have fun while we're doing something, and, really try to have, I really do like the idea of doing something really extra for the Teddy's Bear picnic or something else just to appreciate everybody after we're all done and we've done it, and, you know, celebrate the success, because it's going to be a feat this year. It is, but it's, you know, it already feels really good out there. And anyway, I do think this is just something that we'd be better off not doing this year.
So seeing no further board input, let's go to a vote on this one as amended by John and approved by AJ and Sue to say, and correct me if I have this wording wrong, no fair funds can be spent on fireworks for 2022. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go, George.
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Paxton?
Yes.
Sandra?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
AJ?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Spirit?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. I also have a budget adjustment. Sorry, John, when was your hand up? I'm sorry, John.
I just put it up because I have a follow-up question here.
Okay.
So this says no OCF funds. So we either need to get, if we don't want to have fireworks at all, and I guess I want some, if Kirsten can give clarification, whether from an operational viewpoint that she would not accept fireworks if it was privately funded, or if that's something we need to put on the agenda as new business to take a vote at the next meeting.
I would think from an operational standpoint, we would not encourage people to set off fireworks on their own, that they wouldn't be allowed on the property, only managed permitted fireworks on our property.
Sandra?
I guess to clarify my question is, would you permit managed permitted fireworks on the property this year if it was privately funded? From an operational viewpoint?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Sandra, did you have something to add?
I just wanted to, no, my question was answered. Thank you.
Okay. I also have a budget adjustment. I move that we add $2,500 to the board budget line item personnel 5066 for the execution of the ED evaluation. Will someone second me?
Second.
I heard Paxton. Okay. Do we have any board discussion on this one? Oh, member input. Okay, sorry, Palmer. Thank you. Thank you, Palmer. Member input before.
Thank you. So my understanding that the board wants to spend $2,500 to evaluate the ED versus all the years that we've done it at no cost.
We do anticipate there being some cost this year. Any further member input before we move on to board discussion? Okay, board discussion.
Call the question.
Okay, no board discussion, so we will call the question. AJ?
Lily, my hand is up.
So we had moved on to board discussion, but I
Yes.
do see,
I had trouble getting my hand to go up in a timely fashion. This is a technology problem.
okay, go ahead, Lucy, and then Lainey, and that's all for member input.
Thank you. To piggyback on Palmer's question, how is that money being spent?
Lainey?
My question would be, does membership get to evaluate as well? And will we be informed of the process ahead of time?
So to answer Lucy's question and Laney's question, this is on the agenda later tonight. The content of the motion is already on tonight's agenda. So we'll address both of those things on tonight's agenda. This is just to put money in a byline. In a budget line. Not a byline, a budget line item. So this is
Thank
just
you.
the process of the evaluation we're going to discuss later. Okay. Still, I see no board input. So we'll call the question. AJ,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
Spirit,
Yes.
I vote yes. George,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Paxton,
Yes.
Sandra,
Yes.
and Sue.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes to put $2,500 in the line, budget line 5066. We have two old business items. I would like permission from the board to do old business before we do committee reports because of how long it's taken us to get through other businesses this evening. So seeing no one protesting that decision, let's move on to
Okay.
board business.
Real quick, Lily,
Yep.
I think it's a great idea, but I would ask that we also do new business items. We've been putting those off for a couple months now or missing ones here and there. I think we should get some business done tonight. And I think at least hearing of the new business before we go into committee reports would be great.
Let's do that at the end of the meeting because we close out this meeting and then we open new business for next meeting.
Yeah, we're
won't-
running low
we
on
won't-
time. That's all I'm saying is that we're running low on time. And we can't keep putting new business off because you know how that happens.
But new business doesn't get any time.
I understand that, but if it doesn't get read in,
It will get read in
Right.
regardless of timing. It will
Okay,
get read in.
okay.
That's a
All right.
priority of the meeting. Absolutely.
okay, thank you.
Sandra, do you have a motion for us on the personnel policy, the executive director evaluation?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, after a lot of collaboration and work, here's the final motion. The OCF Board of Directors will contract with a human resources consultant to help design a standard 360 executive director evaluation based on the executive director's job description and performance and using the 2020 process as a basis. The evaluation process will be administered by the human resources consultant and will include a limited number of confidential surveys of people with a working relationship with the executive director, a self-evaluation by the executive director, and a confidential question and answer session with the board of directors and the executive director. The human resources consultant will analyze and synthesize the survey feedback and present a final report to the board of directors for its use in carrying out its bylaw responsibilities. The final report will be reviewed and approved by the board of directors and presented to the executive director by the fair's president and other such persons as the board of directors may deem appropriate.
Second.
John seconds that. Okay. You got in there fast, John. I wanted that one. Member input. AJ, what's your request?
My request is that we remind folks about the line between this motion and talking about personnel in a public meeting, that there's a reminder there.
Thank you. Excellent. Yes, this motion is to set forth the process. It should not cover the content of this evaluation. This is a process that the organization can use to evaluate a professional. We're not discussing any feedback in this meeting. Okay, Lucy? Thank you, AJ.
I have some questions about clarifying what the 360, I'm not sure what that term means, and clarifying whether or not there will be an opportunity for member input.
Peaches?
Yeah, hi. So I think I understand that you'll be why you would be asking a professional to help with this process. I think definitely it's an important thing, and the board has trouble kind of coming to agreement on a lot of things. And so I think that having somebody from an outside source come and do it, I understand if the board was doing it itself or a small group of the board and officers that, you know, soliciting feedback from more than, let's say, the bums, the staff, you know, what would be considered coordinators that work closely with the executive director. That's a lot of people already. But I would suggest and kind of echo what Lucy says about if we are contracting to have help with this from a human resources professional, that maybe that would open up the opportunity for a larger opportunity for members, all coordinator, you know, that kind of thing, like a kind of an open, more open forum for anybody to offer feedback, since we're hiring a professional to do that. I know that that's a heavy lift with, you know, if you get 100 things from professional, you know, from the membership, you know, that's a lot for a subcommittee of the board to handle. But since we are bringing in professionals to do it, it allows for more room for more input. Thank you.
Martha, I have you having just about a minute left.
Okay, and I can't turn on my camera. As a former member of the Personnel Committee, I think this is a great idea to get some professional and hopefully get a template. Maybe we won't always need to use a professional, but they can give us an example of how it could be done continuing in the future.
Thanks. Stephen Berkson, you have about 45 seconds left.
Okay, I thought I had a minute. Doesn't matter. Yeah, I highly support hiring a professional for this. And I think that we need to acknowledge the amount of discord that we've had amongst ourselves. And so getting some distance from this evaluation and focusing on somebody who can make an assessment of what is and is not impartial and what is or is not based on factual information, who has actual working relationship, as opposed to complaining about something that may or may not be within the job description that's being evaluated. That is all very important. And so I strongly urge you to seek the professional help to get this evaluation done. I think it worked well last time.
Grumpy, I've got you with just about 5 seconds left.
Well, first of all, can someone, I'd like to start my camera, please. Thank you. I won't need much more than 5 seconds, but I may need a couple more. I wrote it down. This is a waste of fares money. It takes away this evaluation from the members. I disagree with Martha on this, sorry. And I disagree with Steve. We don't need distance in this. We need honesty. So if people are going to be honest and doing an evaluation, it'll work out and the members can do it. And Lily does a good job of keeping people honest. Thank you.
Thanks. Seeing no further member input, let's go to board discussion. Oh, Arna, you made it right there before I said the word discussion. I have you down for just under a minute, Arna.
I just think this is a great way to do the evaluation. I'm really glad we're getting a little more professional in how we're working. So I heartily endorse this proposal and this motion. Less than a minute.
That was fast. Okay, so now board discussion, please. John.
So there was a lot of back and forth to get to a motion that we felt could pass this board. This is the motion. We haven't, the motion, as I see it, the actual formal survey is going to be sent to a limited number of people. We don't define yet what that limited number is. That's going to be something the board has to decide. It will be people that, in terms of a 360, will be people who've had a significant relationship with the board of directors. This doesn't preclude the board working with the consultant to add some kind of opportunity for anybody, any member who wants you to present comments. And even if that's not a formal part of the process that gets accepted, members have every right to send comments to the board independently of any process. I would not vote for a motion that I felt would not result in an honest process, in a process that was not going to be skewed one way or another to the the differences of opinion that exist within our organization. I think this motion is a good first step towards getting a process that will be acceptable to people.
Sandra?
Yes, I think this is a good motion, and I wanted to just reiterate John's statement that it's always appropriate for membership to write the board. We have a special address, and the board reads all those letters. We got a lot of them on the COVID thing, and that would be an appropriate place for people who weren't doing the actual surveys to, you know, make their thoughts known to board members, and for board members to consider that in some of the work that we're doing in this process. So that's always there, and we do read all those letters. So thank you.
Sam?
Yeah, I really just, all I want to say about this is just, I want to thank Sandra and John for putting in a tremendous amount of work on hammering out a compromise motion that I think that I hope we can all support. I know I support it wholeheartedly, and yeah, this is I think the most important thing that this board does. And I'll echo what everybody else has said about letters. I do read every one, and I read them while I sing to myself the CBS mailbag song from David Letterman. Letters, we get lots and lots of letters. So I really love getting mail from members.
I'd like to go a step farther. I think part of a really strong evaluation is the opportunity for anonymity or for confidentiality. And I think that that's the reason we don't discuss personnel matters in public. That's the reason that, like, the door is closed in the office when you're speaking with your supervisor. And so I think that some folks might not feel comfortable emailing the whole board with their feedback if they have feedback. For that, I am willing to offer people reaching out to just me if you feel like that's what you'd like to do. So you can email just me at lilyclearwater@gmail.com if you feel like you have something that is important to go into this evaluation and yet you aren't one of the folks selected to be filling out a survey on your own. I heard advice from an HR professional that 12 is the right number of respondents. That's not right for our organization. But I do want all of the members to know that your input is valuable. We'd love to hear what you think of how things are going. But please expect that unless you have a central operational role, you might not get an invite for that survey. And that's okay, because there's other ways for you to participate. AJ. Oh, wait, I also want to say one other thing. I'm really glad that you, Sandra and John, included in that a self-evaluation. I find for myself, a self-evaluation is super valuable for my own development, and for like helping me stay insightful and ready for change and growth. And I'm really excited to see that that's part of it. AJ?
Yeah, I just want to say while I appreciate what you had to say, I think it's really important that when the board is doing its work, that we all be privy to the same information. And I hesitate to think that some of us would have different information than others in doing this big job that we are tasked to do. And so I would encourage members to send any feedback they have to the whole board if you want the whole board to do its job as a whole. I think we are in a political, situation here where we're like, just kind of like our nation. And I think it's important that we kind of get away from that. And so I like to see all of the board members have the same information. And so I would encourage members to send, your feedback to all of us and not particular ones.
I do want to offer one more piece of clarification, given that there's no one else on the stack. The survey will not be seen by the board. The survey responses are going to go anonymously to or confidentially to the consultant. No one on the board or in the organization will see the survey responses. Seeing no further board input, let's go to a vote. George?
Yes.
I vote yes. John? John? Come back to you? Is that what that means? I can come back to you. Spirit?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Paxton?
Yes.
Sandra?
Yes.
AJ?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
And John? John says yes with a thumbs up. Great. So that motion passes unanimously for the ED evaluation. That brings us to a personnel policy committee motion. Sandra, that's also you.
Yes, the Personnel Policy Committee recommends that we appoint Ron Chase to the Personnel Policies Committee. I'll give you a little bit of, we did send out his letter of interest, so you've had a chance to read that. But for those who haven't, Ron is, is one of the founders of the event, and he was instrumental in spearheading the process to raise funds to buy the property. He did a lot of work at sponsors. He really he built that into a powerhouse organization. He has a deep commitment to an experience in DEI. He also served on the Eugene Human Rights Committee for 6 years, working on achieving diversity and retention among city staff, among among other diversity issues. He's had experience in all aspects of personnel management, helped write the personnel policies manual for sponsors, and updated laws as circumstances changed. And he brings a long history of working cooperatively with community partners, staff, and clients in meeting mutual goals. So he's got all the kind of skills that we could really use on this committee. So I'm recommending him.
Spirit seconds that one. Okay. Do we have any member input? Palmer?
There was a second person that put in their name. I, as a member of the Personnel Policies and Procedures Committee, don't remember us deciding on 1 versus 2 versus either. Could be wrong, but that's my recollection.
Let me just jump in on that one.
Okay.
The second person, Palmer, is on new business this month. And I got back with, so they're both actually being recommended.
Okay.
I can't dialogue, so I'm done.
Okay, then we have John Pincus.
I think Sandra's recommendation is an excellent one. Ron knows a lot about this from the very beginning to the present, and he also has tremendous amount of skills in professional and collaborative work. He's an ideal person to serve in this capacity. Thanks.
Then Lainey, did I see your hand up or was that from before?
Oh, I put it down again, Lily. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. So seeing no more member input, let's go to board discussion. Any board discussion? Lisa.
Just a question. How many respondents were there to the call out that the committee did?
2. And they were both good.
Spirit?
Yeah, I wanted to clarify too that the second one came in after Ron's name had been put up as new business, and we do like there to be a month for member input and such. And I'll be supporting both, and I think the Personnel Policies Committee as well were in on it. So thank you both for putting your names in, but thank you, Ron, especially since that's the vote tonight.
Sam?
Yeah, and forgive me if this isn't the materials we received. I'll admit, looked at them as closely as I probably should have. Is Ron coming with the recommendation of the committee, and is that recommendation unanimous? Sorry, you're muted, Sandra. I think you're still.
All right, sorry about that. He is coming with the recommendation of the committee, and as far as I recall, it was unanimous. Yeah, I think it was. There were no votes, that's for sure.
Okay, seeing no, oh, John.
Yeah, I'm quite sure that Ron is qualified. I'm quite sure that the other person that will be on the agenda as new business is qualified. I've always thought of committees as being one way to foster new leadership for the fair, to give people an opportunity to learn about the fair, and to in most in a lot of nonprofits, it's the pool of people who decide that they are willing to serve on the board of directors. I'm a little disappointed that this is that perspective is not reflected in the choice that we have before us tonight, nor in the one that will be before us at our next meeting. I really think we need to look at how we recruit folks for committees. My perception is that it was a relatively passive outreach rather than an active outreach. And I would hope that this might be something that we could try to figure out a way to identify within the thousands of people associated with the fair, qualified younger people for the next generation of leadership of this organization. And I would hope that that's perhaps something that our vice presidents could look at helping to do. So I'm probably going to abstain for that reason. I do think they're qualified, but I would much prefer to be fostering new leadership with these appointments. Thank you.
Any further board discussion? Seeing none, let us vote. Sandra,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
Spirit,
Yes.
Paxton,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
AJ,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Lisa,
Abstain.
John,
Abstain.
and I vote yes. So that is 8 yeses. John and Lisa are abstaining, and therefore that motion passes with 8 votes. Let's do committees and work group reports now. Kimmo sent me a message that she would like all committee reports to send a summary to Kimmo for the minutes to aroundthepacific@msn.com. Smiley face with heart eyes. That's a good one for Kimmo. Committees and work group reports. Please share anything that you have that's relevant for to be verbally announced at tonight's meeting and that does not lend itself to a written report in the minutes for the .net site or for the family to read in the Fair Family News. Sue.
I just want to let folks know that this coming Wednesday is the mandatory food booth meeting. This is where we should finally have the answer to how many food booths are coming. Right now, we've got a lot more coming than not. Thanks. And I want to thank all the people who are going to be making presentations at that meeting. People taking time out of their lives to help get the information out to the food booth reps is very much appreciated.
I see no other committee reports, which brings us to the highly anticipated, much spoken about moment for adding new business to the agenda. You guys have I can tell you're so excited you couldn't contain yourselves. We've talked about it so much. The anticipation has been killing all of us. Lisa, you're first.
Yes, I would like to add to new business, direct the bylaws committee to add clarifying language to Article 5, Section 2A, as recommended by the membership secretary.
Thank you. Sandra.
I want to add, recommend the appointment of Michael Hall to the Personnel Policies Committee.
Thank you. AJ.
I would like to add to direct the ED following our 2022 event to create a process for which members who are not present at a committee or board meetings can request and review video recordings of meetings. This process will be in place and posted on the .NET site no later than September 1st, 2022.
John.
I have two items. One is hybrid meeting support for committees. And the second one's a little lengthier, but to request the membership secretary and bylaws committee to develop motion language to ensure that in the short term, COVID absences from the 2022 fair does not impact membership status, and to consider a bylaw amendment providing flexibility for similar situations in the future.
Okay. Sam.
I have a clarifying question for Lisa. Is that
Okay.
visible?
Yes, that's
Okay, for your new business motion, is that language going to go up on the .NET site today? And does that, does the clock start now, or does the clock for the business days that new bylaw language has to be out start when it comes out next month, or at I guess the end of
I'm going to submit it for posting on the .NET site within the next day or two.
Okay.
So Sandra, Lisa, John, and AJ, please get, if not the full text of your motion, just a title of your motion to me and Kirsten as soon as you're able, so that we can create next month's agenda. The June line meeting is coming up. So that brings, go ahead.
One of the hybrid meeting support item, I'd like to be on the August board meeting. I don't think it's critical to be in the June, the next meeting.
Okay, can you mention it again then? We've had a number of items be deferred out to August. I just want to make sure it doesn't get forgotten. It is my intention that we will get it for August.
I will try not to forget it. I will mention it again. Thank you.
That brings us to the announcement that the June July meeting, which is the way we have a July meeting with respect for all of the important work that's being done on site to bring our event to fruition. And sometimes the first Monday of July is actually, no, that couldn't possibly be the case, that it would be after the event. But for those of you who don't know, we have our July board meeting on the last Sunday of June in person, because we figure many folks are on site. So it's Sunday, June 26th at 4 p.m. at Alice's Fire Pit. And with the help of Paxton and Dean Middleton, invaluable input from Sean Call, we're going to do our first hybrid meeting. This meeting will, so you can participate in person or you can participate online, and not just watch online. Our hope is that you can participate online. I'm going to ask you ahead of time to bear with us while we develop a new process. This will look a little different from hybrid meetings that are in, say, a meeting space in a room with ample electricity, with flawless Wi-Fi, with screens in place, with adjustable lighting. The hybrid meeting at Alice's is gonna be a little bit different, and we might be really impressed, and we might be a little frustrated. And I hope that we're all just really happy for those of us who are able to gather together. So that's Sunday, June 26th at 4 p.m. Let's do a meeting evaluation for the good of the Peach. We have 4 minutes left, and let's see if anybody has just a little sentence or two about how tonight went. No one. Everyone thinks it was perfect. Hillary. Lily,
I really appreciate how you keep your calm. You don't get defensive. You know, people speak things and you're able to keep the flow of the meeting going in a, in just a really even-handed way. And I just really want to thank you and acknowledge that I think your energy has brought a lot to the smoothness of the meetings.
Thanks. Anne?
I too want to thank you, Hillary. I mean, not Hillary, Lily, but I agree with Hillary. And I just want to say, when I saw you on Saturday, wearing your mask when over 90% of the people were not wearing their masks. I appreciate you standing for how you believe and how our healthcare should be taken care of. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. I forgot to announce. Oh, Sam, go for it, Sam.
I remain in search of a better way to track the amount of time that people are speaking. It's really hard to keep track of, and it's hard to remember to let people know how much time they have left. I think you did that for a couple of folks, and then not, you know, it's hard to remember for everybody. And so I'm still thinking about that. And if anybody in the membership has thoughts about that, I would love to hear it, because I would like to perfect that system.
Brad.
So maybe I'm just hearkening back to the days of being at Northwest Youth Corps and eWeb until 11 at night. But I feel that I'd love to see it if member input and people could speak up more. I realize that you're working under tight constraints under Zoom, but I just experienced how fast 2 minutes is to actually get my thoughts out tonight. And I found it very constraining. And there were a number of other things that I would have spoken up about, but didn't have any time. So, you know, I understand the problem, and I look forward to the days when it's not so constrained. I'm done. But I thought you did a good job running the meeting, Lily.
We're almost there, Brad. My plan is that once we start hybrid meetings and we're in person, it won't be time limited in this way. Paxton and then Lucy.
I just want to thank everybody for doing a good job of working together to get things done. I've seen some progress in this and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Lucy?
I appreciate your facilitation skills, Lily, and I deeply regret that member input is so constrained.
Stephen Berkson.
I just want to say that I think it's a two-edged sword a little bit, because constrained member input is also I think it lets more people speak and more people get involved because and still get business done. And to Sam, I'd say I really like the way I do this for another group, and I really like the way your app changed color. What it doesn't have that mine has, though, is we tell people you're basically your closest 30-second increment, and we have multiple clocks. So I could do 3, 2.5, 2, and I just scroll to the right one for that person, and that helps. But it doesn't help with the color, which was really nice.
Okay, I forgot to say that I'd like to have a presidential listening session also. And I would like for that to be on site. So for those of you who haven't come to presidential listening sessions before, we've never had more than 15 or so people, but it's just a time for, like what I had been saying at the beginning, is relationship building and participation, a new way of participation. So if there's something you want me to know, or an interaction you'd like to have, or messaging you'd like, ideas you'd like to throw out there, see how those can grow and how we can nurture new creative ways of doing things. That's what happens at the presidential listening sessions. And I'd like to do the next one in a slightly different way. So we're going to do it on site at 11 a.m. on Sunday, June 26th. Not mandatory for anyone to come to. It's just a time for people to come have interface with me at the very least. There have been other board members, other coordinators, other fair movers and shakers at these. But join me at 11 a.m. on June 26th. Wow, I guess I never thought through the place. Let's say the Dragon Meadow. The Dragon Meadow will find a little spot, a quiet spot to sit. 11 a.m. June 26th. So now I'm going to go to the president's piece, which for this month is going to be really simple, which is that I wore my mask the entire time I was on site all day Saturday and Sunday. I was so encouraged by seeing, as the weekend progressed, more and more folks had their masks on, and I really appreciated that. I would love to empower every one of us that if you're feeling a little under the weather, to acknowledge that even though every year we maybe all feel worn out when we come on site and we work our bums off to get this built and to get the gates open and to welcome people in and to love our friends and family and to celebrate the way we want to celebrate. This year, if you feel under the weather, or please empower yourself to go home, to take care of yourself. Even if you do contract COVID, the quickest way to get better, the best way to have a minor illness besides getting a vaccine, is to sleep and to rest. If you're feeling like you might be sick, please step away from the party, take care of yourself, keep the people who are nearby you safe. Coordinators and booth reps, please allow people the grace to go home, to go off site, to keep themselves and all of us safe. We're going to do this. It was so great for me to be back on site this weekend. So great for me to be back on site this weekend. I'm seeing some messages that just distracted me, which is that I picked the Dragon Meadow at a random time that felt so good to me, but that's because it felt so good to be in the Dragon Meadow to some other folks. It's like the synchronicity that that's the right place. So,
Lily, isn't that the one that he does up by Whitebird though?
Oh, can I clarify something?
Yeah, let's
it's been held in Chela Mela, a humanistic intervention, the last few years, but it is a huge meeting. I mean, well over 100, I'm guessing, and this year we are mandating that at least all of security is going, not just every other year. So I anticipate a lot of people. So I don't know if you can change the day or later on in the afternoon.
Yeah,
that might be hard too, but yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely change the day. What that means is that I have to look at all the other things, because I like to send my crew to the HI trainings. I want to enable anybody to go to the HI trainings because they're so fantastic, and you should go 100 times. You should go every single year. You learn new things every time. Thank you, Zach, for all you do. The HI training is something that we as a community should be really proud of. So I don't want to conflict with that. What that means is everyone understand my intention is to have a presidential listening session that weekend on site. There's lots of moving pieces. I will do my best to announce that in some way. If you see me, just ask me, maybe I'll know by then. It will be on site that weekend, Saturday or Sunday. And I'll tell you the location. Maybe we'll do Energy Park or something, because that's near my home. Love to everyone. Thank you so much. Join us for the June line meeting, June 26th at 4 p.m. at Alice's Fire Pit or online. Join me for the presidential listening session. Go to an HI training, wear your masks, come to the party. We love all of you. Thank you so much. Sam, when you're done with your dance, will you ring us out? We're going to do this, guys.
Ja, man.